sort of
But I was thinking more in terms of like the
No, I know.
the logistics. Things are stressful, right? You're trying to
and
get to the flight.
How the person
You got to like
reacts.
get your stuff packed. You know, there's like you got to check in, or the rental car where you're going to get this, and you know, and it's
Things
like,
are going to go wrong.
Yeah, and then you
can see. Yeah, you can see almost like, you know, how people are kind of like, oh, let's like we always refer to Love is Blind because we like watching Love is Blind and like dissecting it. But like when the couples were like, you know, I think it was Amy and Johnny were like, we need to get into like a fight to see what we're going to be like.
First big fight.
It's kind of like that. You want to get into a situation where it's a little stressful and like things are happening to see how that person's going to react, man or woman.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, because like a lot of times women can freak out and stuff too, and a lot of times men can freak out. So it's like, how is this? But especially as a woman, it's like, how is he going to handle this? Like if you're letting the man lead, when things get rough,
right,
you want to see how he's going to handle it.
Yeah.
Right? It also helps build your trust in him as a leader to see that. Like, I'm not saying that, like, if we're in a stressful situation, I'm just going to be like, go ahead, John, to figure it all out. Like, I'm obviously going to help you.
But the man should be on top of it, figuring out. You're right. Like, if he starts reacting and starts snapping and it's like, whatever, or he just delegates, like, abdicates and it's like, you figure it out, or, you know, instead of taking charge of the situation and getting it taken care of, then you're getting a lot of information about how he's going to handle life.
Right. And we're saying this from a place of both of us have traveled with previous partners that have made it horrible.
Yeah.
And John and I have traveled many places now together, and we've dealt with our own, you know, wrenches and plans, and it's never been like that.
Yeah.
So it's a really good, like, test. I'm not saying like go to a different country or fly somewhere to test your relationship, but like definitely if you're kind of like in a position where you're like, I'm having like some, I don't want to say like second thoughts, but if you're kind of like, I don't know about this person being the one for me.
Yeah.
You could even do like a weekend trip somewhere, because even with the weekend trips, you're going to run into something. I mean, it's a little bit less if you're not like flying or something, but I think even a weekend trip could get you a good sort of vibe.
It's good to have a good 4 to 5 days together though, because
that's again, true. Most people longer than like,
even if they're living together, most people are working,
right?
So they're not spending 4 to 5 days together,
like totally together.
Right. You spend 4 to 5 days together and play some Overcooked and see where you're at.
No, but if you really want to test your relationship, play Overcooked, which, like, we're saying this as people who don't fight during Overcooked and get the 4 stars. But sometimes even we will be like, why didn't you chop the tomatoes? But it's nice. Like, it's not.
But yeah, spending that amount of time together, like, constantly.
Right.
Like, it's weird because I know that most people, when they hear that, they're like, oh, yeah. But it's like, for us, it's honestly, there's no, like, we can't get enough. It's
right.
There's neither of us gets
like,
annoyed or like, I just need my space. I can't wait to get back and just have them. I never feel like that. I know you say that you never feel like that either. So
no, I know. I'm like, we could stay for however long we wanted.
But trips for guys, right? It's like you book everything, take care of.
Good luck with
plan
that.
Out the dates, plan out the hotel, all the rental, all the stuff. That's the man's job. Now, and the reason why I say that specifically is most guys delegate that to
a woman.
Right.
Yeah.
They're like, you pick the place. And it's like,
But don't hold it over her head, because I've also had somebody plan things and be like, I planned everything and you didn't do anything. And it's like, you could have asked me.
Yeah, that's not the point. You just do that because you're the man and you take care of the things, so she doesn't have to worry about these things, and you make it nice.
Well, it also, again, is another thing that shows her that you're taking the lead,
just like a guy
and
plans
the authority,
right,
and
that's what it is. So yeah, so that's important to do that stuff. Take care of everything. Make sure it's all taken care of.
Yeah, that's going to be a hard one, I think, for guys.
Yeah, but it's important. But
you have to care enough. I think that's the thing, is that guys, like, they're planning trips and they don't really care enough. Or maybe they don't even really want to go. Maybe maybe their wife or their partner or whoever makes trips unbearable, and so they're not planning. I get it if that's the case, but then you have to sit there and be like, what am I doing?
Yeah.
And you need to do this before you get married.
Yeah.
Right? Or if it was fine and you got married and now you're in this place of you're like, I can't stand going anywhere with her, then you need to work on your marriage. You need to figure out what you guys need to work on.
And see, that was a good indicator when I was with you, when we traveled on our first trips, was stressful situations did come up. And I was like amazed that you're just being cool about it, that there was like, it was like, even if we're like coming close to being late for a flight or whatever it was, like we were just working together. No one was getting all snippy and like you were just so calm. And I was like, okay, this is not what I'm used to.
Well, what are you going to do? Like, what is yelling and freaking out going to do? Yeah. Nothing. Ever. What is yelling and freaking out ever going to do? I mean, it's one thing if you're like on the edge of a cliff and you're about to fall off, then you could freak out. Yeah. It still probably isn't going to help you, but that's my thing too. And then, for me, a lot of the things that I was like, wow, was if like maybe I wasn't feeling good, because like sometimes I get sick feeling when I travel, or I'm really tired because of when we went to Mexico, I was up at 3 a.m. and I was so tired, and you weren't like, what, like I paid for this trip, we just got here and you want to sleep. Like plenty of guys would act like that, but I was like, you understood though that I got up and you appreciated what I went through to get to where we were. Yeah. And I feel like a lot of people don't do that. Yeah. A lot of guys don't do that. Or they'll be like, well, I bought all this so we could like have a good time, and in their head, and get laid. Yeah. And that's all they care about. They don't care about the actual person that's there, but you always cared. And like, if we went somewhere and I'm like, my stomach hurts, you're not going to be like, well, we still need to go.
Or I'll drop you off at the hotel and I'll go out.
Right.
Like that, and people do that. That's the other thing, is they go on trips together and then they do separate things.
Right.
Like, well, I'm going to stay out at the bar. You're tired, go to bed or whatever. No.
Yeah.
That's not that, and that you find that stuff out too.
It's true.
Better than perfect, we stay through every fault we